Welcome back to the kitchen here at Smokehouse. I'm Chef Chip. Today we're going to play with some yard bird, and I've got a special big bird that we've had in the smoker for you for a few hours already this morning, getting ready so I can show you how to break a turkey down, put a little stuffing together, and we're going to have a wonderful time playing with our fowl this morning. We'll try not to run afoul, and we'll keep things running smoothly today and have a good time in the kitchen. So get ready. All right, so as I alluded to, I've already got a big bird, a wonderful 21, 22-pound bird sitting in the smoker. It's been in with some hickory wood, running at about 235 degrees for me already for about 3.5 hours. We're going to get some yard bird here ready to go in with it so that we can play around a little bit today. So we've done chicken breakdowns already in a couple other episodes. So I've got a wonderful bone-in breast here, 2 of them. And we've done them before where we've brined them with the rosemary and the lemon. Today I just want to do a light smoke chicken breast bone-in, and I'm going to do a boneless chicken breast as well because I want you to be able to do your pulled chicken as well. So we're going to get our oil down on here. Okay, and across the bottom I'm going to hit it with some kosher salt. Then we're going to flip these big beautiful breasts over. We're going to hit it with a little garlic. And we're going to come back with just a light sprinkling of our basic sweet and smoky rub. And that gets these breasts, these bone-in breasts, ready to rock and roll right here. We don't want to get too crazy with them because we're going to want to play with the sauces that we play with every day to give it that final profile. Now, in the grocery store, I have a hard time finding a tender chicken breast. And those are great for when we're smoking. That's perfectly fine. They love to sell us these 8-pound chicken breast in the grocery store. That bird's got to be at least 8 to 9 pounds by the time it gets done. They're beautiful, though, for smoking. These big birds' breasts are great. They're tough when you straight bake them or try to pan fry them or grill them. They take a long time to break. But we're smoking, and we're going to have that time to get them to break. So what I like to do, again, me and my oil, we rub our chicken down, and again, we're going to come into it, and nope, we've got a bone. So always check the inside of that breast. Make sure there's nothing that's come accidentally off of that breastbone when they've trimmed them out for you. And we're going to coat them again with the sweet and smoky rub, that dry rub that we use so often. We want to get the smoke flavor in, but we want them to stay tender and juicy and break. So we're going to put them in a pan. We're going to add about a 1/4 inch of water across the bottom of that pan. And then we're going to cover the pan 3/4 of the way with foil. Then we're going to set that in our smoker. The smoke will get inside. It'll get all up in our chicken breast. We'll get that wonderful smoked flavor, but we're going to keep so much of that moisture, and that's important. And that's going to allow us to have a really tender pulled chicken when we come back out of the smoker here in just a few minutes. All right, so I know you weren't here to see it, but we're gonna make the stuffing for our bird that I've already got in the oven. I don't like to do a traditional bread stuffing, so I like to do an apple stuffing. And I do that because I can turn around and fold it in with some fresh gala apples that we can make a nice scalloped apple with to go along as a side dish afterwards and pull all that flavor profile in from those juices. In my stuffing, I start with normally the sliced apples right out of a can. I don't get too fancy from that standpoint. We doll those apples up with just a little bit of sugar and a little bit of cinnamon. And then some cranberries. That's what I'll use for a stuffing. So I'll get my bird all rubbed down, coated on the inside with my Chef Chip's Trinity. I rub the outside down, a little bit of Trinity, a little bit of rosemary. Then I'll stand her up, fold the wingtips back so they don't get burnt in the smoker. And then I stuff it with the cranberries, apples, with the cinnamon and the sugar. And that'll go in. And that allows us to come back afterwards and pull that out and fold it into what we're about to get started on now. So I can't have turkey and not have apples and dressing. So we're going to go that direction for you right now. So I've got a couple skillets here that we've been working on, getting them warmed up. Turn one up here a little bit. And I'm going to fold in just a little bit of oil. And we're going to start with our mirepoix. I've got some carrots and celery. We've got some carrots. We're just going to do a small chop with real quick. Take our baby carrots here and I'll quarter them and just come back. Keep it on the board next time, but if you haven't caught on by now, I have a hard time keeping anything in the skillet and on the board. So there's our carrot. Throw that in there. Our mirepoix working. A little bit of my favorite garlic. I'm going to hit it with some Chef Chip's Trinity here. We'll start just simmering. Just going to break that down a little bit. Dressing, you can make it out of any type of bread. It's really your decision. If you love sourdough, go sourdough. I would try to avoid anything but like the really soft white breads, the Wonder Breads, those sorts of things, because they become really clumped, really tight. Hamburger buns and hot dogs, let them sit out overnight. They're perfect for dressings. And I like to cut right around that 1/2 to 3/4 inch squares on mine. Okay, and so there's our stuffing bread. We've got all that working. So these are softening up. I don't need them to be caramelized. I don't need them to have all that color. I just need them to soften. That's all we're after right here. I've got some chicken stock right here for you. I'll let that, I just want to bring it up to a little bit of a sizzle right there. And at this point, I like to throw a couple clumps of butter right in there too. We're just going to melt that down in there real quick. And now while that's melting, I've got some rubbed sage right here. And we're going to put some sage in there. Some nice little sage dressing. And it smells like Thanksgiving right there. That little bit of sage just immediately kicks me to Thanksgiving dinner. Okay, we're going to turn that off and I'm going to start to fold bread in now. Use these big bear paws I've got here to put that bread over in there. And we're just going to start folding that around to absorb that stock. One thing that a lot of people forget to do is actually really completely bake. So we're going to get this set up here in a minute. We're going to go in that oven at 350, 375, and we're going to let it bake all the way up until it plumps. It's going to almost double in size in the pan. And at that point, it'll start to brown off the top. And then you know you've actually cooked that dressing. So often I find dressing that is still almost just as wet as it went in to the oven, and that's just not quite where we want that to be. But we've soaked up most of that juice. You can see that right there. But we want to make sure we're doing this right, so we're going to just crack 1 egg right in there, and we're going to smear that in, and that'll help all that set when we go to the oven. Okay, so our stuffing is ready. Took a little bit of butter here. We're just going to grease our pan. Now, if you've got the good aerosol, help yourself. There's no problem with that either. But a little butter never hurt. That's the old-fashioned. That, or we can always pull the bacon grease down and give it a good rub down that way as well. Nothing wrong with that either. And with that, we'll take our stuffing. We're going to fold it into our baking dish. Level that off. And like I said, it's ready to go in an oven for about 350, 375 degrees. It's going to take approximately another 20 to 30 minutes, depending just on how thick you are. And while that's working, get that in the oven, we're going to come back, pull the turkey out of the smoker, and make some apples. All right, so our dressing's in the oven. Our turkey's ready to come out, but I want to get some scalloped apples working here first. So I've got a skillet working here. We're going to hit it with some butter. All right, or a lot of butter. There we go. And we've got, while that butter melts, I've got some Gala apples. Honeycrisp is another great variety you could do this with. And we're just cutting wedges. If you're working this ahead of time, make sure to throw your apples in some water, cool water, with a little bit of lemon juice, lime juice, or another trick that works real well is Sprite or 7-Up instead of the water and the lime juice or lemon juice, and that'll keep them from turning brown. Here's some that I've already done that way this morning. We'll bring this spreader. We're just going to let it get a little bit of brown. Starting to see a little bit of the brown in there. I can smell it. We're gonna fold some of these fresh gallows right in there. Not too many of them though. We've got the filling, the stuffing from our turkey we're gonna pull out here in a minute. But using those canned apples, I like to do a couple fresh apples with the skin just to get a little profile working. I'm gonna start to cook these down. All right. While those are cooking, I'm gonna spin right around here and I'm gonna grab our turkey that we've had smoking. Here comes our turkey, right there. You can see I'll turn right around and pull this out here for you. Bring it right up here onto the board. If you look back here again, we've talked about it before with the duck. Works great with chickens when you're doing the whole chickens. Tuck those wings back up underneath there. And that'll keep those tips from getting too burnt. Holds it tight too. Doesn't allow it to flail out when it's smoking either, which is a nice thing. So we're gonna pop the skin here, down here, the little piece, and I'm gonna go ahead and pull our turkey leg right there. Just snaps right off. That's about just as good as that could get. And that opens my cavity, and if you look inside, at that point, you can see our apple stuffing. And I'm gonna scoop right down through there. And I'm gonna pull that apple stuffing. We're gonna fold that right up in here. So this has been cooking. And this will give us that profile without having to run the stock. And that to get a really deep, rich, smoky flavor with our scalloped apples as well to match up with that turkey. All those juices sitting in that cavity have all been picked up by those apples, and we're just gonna let those apples start cooking down. In the meantime, I'm gonna show you how to break a breast real quick. So we've pulled here. I'm gonna also show you how to pop a thigh. Pull down right here. If you've got it cooked all the way through, I don't know if you can hear it or not, but you get these little pops, and that's literally how easy it is. There's your thigh bone. It's off. This is all meat. 100% usable meat, ready to rock and roll. And I'm a big fan of skin. I'll never get rid of that. I love that. So we've pulled the leg off. Here's our thigh. And again, you'll just see the meat will just trim, just similar to like when we pulled the meat right off our thigh bones for our chicken. We can just run our knife right down the edges and she falls right off. Okay, this is just all pure dark meat, thigh meat, super tender, super juicy. Carefully pile this right here for you. There we go. And now the hard part, the breast. It's really not at all. Works really well. Again, just like with our duck or turkey, you can see right here that breastbone is defined. We're gonna come in on one side of that, and we're just gonna follow that all the way down. And as we do so, we're gonna come back here above the wing. I'm just gonna come right back across there and pull right up. And then I can literally peel it just back, and that whole breast falls off. Is one beautiful piece, and that is about the best thing you can get. So I'll leave you one pretty side here to look at, but right here is our breast meat. We can literally just slice it right on down, and there's not much more you can ask for. Now we've got our turkey breast. Okay, we're gonna come back over here to these apples. Wipe some of my rub off of my hands here from the outside of that turkey. And all the juices are sliding out here off this back side, so we're going to protect that. These apples now are starting to soften up. So at this point, I want to sweeten my scalloped apples. I've already had a little white sugar when they went in to the bird. So at this point, I just want a little brown sugar. We're just going to let that caramelize as we finish these off. So I'm going to let this caramelize here for just another couple minutes. I'm going to check on our dressing. When we come back, you'll get to see the dressing, the apples, and I'm going to show you how to do that pulled chicken. All right, our apples are looking good. They're ready. They're good and soft. A little bit of color on them. So nothing to worry about there. I'm going to throw a few of those up here just so you can get them up here on the plate. There we go, scalloped apples. We're going to turn around. I'm going to grab our chicken, and then we're going to grab our bread dressing as well. All right, bread dressing set up right there, ready to go. We've got our dressing, we've got our apples, we've got our turkey. But I promised Yardbird, we got it set up. We went into the smoker earlier with it. We started with just those breasts, the bone-in breast, just a light smoke. Got a lot of juice that's carried out of those. They're looking really good today. Nice brown. Not too charred up on any of the tips. So those are perfect looking smoked chicken breast. No real complaints there. Set this out of the way and I'm gonna go get that chicken breast. All right, so here's our breasts. We smoked them 2/3 to 3/4 covered with foil. That way the smoke can get in. You can see looking at them. There's plenty of color, plenty of smoke in them. And now that they're all good and done, we're gonna literally just crush them. And they're just gonna pull just like so. If your hands haven't become asbestos yet, after 30 years, mine are pretty used to the warm meats, but you're welcome to let it cool down to almost room temperature, and you can pull them as well. And you're gonna get this beautiful, tender, pulled chicken. And at this point, it's ready for barbecue sauce or tacos or any other wonderful thing you can think to put it in here. This makes just wonderful pulled chicken. It works wonderful with Alfredo for a smoked fettuccine chicken Alfredo as well. Nothing to go wrong there at all. So we've got a little breast we haven't pulled here. So you can see those. And here's where we've just been pulling. And here we go, our pulled boneless chicken breast. All right, so today we played with our big bird. She came out beautiful, great color. She broke down real simple and easy, so we can't complain. We played around with a little bit of smoked chicken breast bone in, and we did some pulled chicken breast boneless. We've got our scalloped apples and our dressing. It was a great day. I'm ready for Thanksgiving and family to come over. Or I'll just eat it any old time of the year. It's good either way. In the meantime, we'll get ready for the next show and come back. We're going to play with some salmon and some beautiful ruby red trout.